I'm going to do my best to articulate a thought that I had today. It started with this idea that, sometimes people assume they know where you're at spiritually or emotionally, and they pre-decide that it's not compatible with their role in your life. And I'm just kind of thinking about, particularly, especially as Christians, we have a tendency, I think in our minds, we think that we're being discerning, but we're actually judging. And I'm saying this because I've done it too, where, if it's somebody younger than me, older than me, it doesn't matter. It's people within the faith, and I'm just kind of, in my mind, I think that I'm discerning where they're at emotionally or spiritually because of a behavior that I'm observing. And so based upon that, I will look within myself at my own capabilities and my own spiritual maturity and decide what our connection or our dynamic is going to look like, if at all. And so I'm thinking about this today, especially, so I'm in this math class, and I've started to kind of think in numbers and symbols. And so I'm thinking about negatives and positives, and I'm applying this concept to my relationships. And I'm like, how do we naturally as people measure the value of one another? And we determine, whether the outcome is going to be positive or negative. So in mathematical theory, let's say, a negative, that you'll see a negative plus a positive equals a positive. But that's really only an accurate statement if I took notes on this actually to kind of explain it a little bit better. Yeah, so the negative and positive, when you add them together, they can only be positive if the positive number has an absolute value that is greater than the negative. And so when you're thinking about this, how do you find the absolute value of a number? You have to start at zero. And so I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, well, as a person of faith, I believe that every person is made in the image of God, and so we have intrinsic value. We are made in the image of our Creator, and we not only have a soul in the way that Genesis describes animals also having a soul. You'll see that in its original text, its original language. We have souls, but humans particularly distinctly have a spirit, and that is the breath of God that was breathed into man. So anyways, when I'm looking for, if we look for the absolute value of a person, all of us, when we're born, because of the fall, because of spiritual separation from God, our default is zero. Our absolute value is zero. But when it comes to those of us that are Christians, those of us that have been grafted in, those of us that are in the faith, well, our value is now found in Christ. And so when it comes to our relationships, it doesn't matter if, let's say, I'll draw a picture for you. Okay? This is, we'll make this guy gender neutral, okay? So, let's say I meet Timmy. In my first encounter, or a couple of encounters, and maybe I've seen him kind of on and off for a year, and I'm just kind of observing Timmy. Timmy seems to have some, he seems to have some maybe developmental issues. He seems to lack in certain areas of maturity. So I don't think that he's totally on my wavelength mentally. Well, that's a negative in my mind. Timmy seems to indulge in gluttonous habits. He eats a lot. He's kind of heavy set. We'll just give him a belly. Timmy's kind of heavy set. I don't think that he would want to go anywhere with me because I'm I think that his lifestyle would be a little bit sedentary. He's probably mostly at home watching football or something. So I just, I don't really see him kind of fitting in this dynamic. I don't think I could really have fun with Timmy, right? So we start to kind of see people in this lens. I hope I'm making sense to you, but I think we begin to take a measuring stick to each other, and we're judging each other, even in the church, based off of, I guess, our ideas of value. And it's all wrong, because if we are in Christ, then the absolute value of our person spiritually, all of us, no matter how old we are, how experienced we are, how spiritually mature we are, our absolute value is greater love, right? It's greater love. So we just can't, we can't afford as Christians, and I say this, I'm like preaching to myself because I do it too. You know, I won't really talk to the college age kids in my church because I'm like, maturity, you know, emotionally, spiritually, all the things, life experience, you know, I'm like looking at all these things. I'm like, I just don't think that we can really benefit from this dynamic, or really just talking to each other, engaging with each other. I mean, how personal and, you know, friendly can we really be if we don't have any common ground, we can't really relate, we don't have the type of similar dialogue because I've been to seminary and I've done all these things and they haven't, right? Or whatever. Like, it's just these ways that we kind of see value, and we have to see through the value of Christ's sacrifice for every single one of us, that we are literally covered in the value of that sacrifice of Christ crucified. So anyways, yeah, I personally need to start, I need to quit pre-deciding who fits in my life and who doesn't, because God can use any of us at any level to do a work or to accomplish something in our lives. You know, those that are younger than me, I've discarded them. I've disregarded them in my mind because I've done this. And that's not really fair. And I've closed the door before God could even do something there. So anyway, that's all.